You can spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even months over analyzing a situation, trying to put the pieces together, justifying what would have happened. Or you can just leave the pieces on the floor and move the fuck on. There is no such thing as a broken family. Family is family, and is not determined by marriage certificates, divorce papers, and adoption documents. Families are made in the heart. The only time family becomes null is when those ties in the heart are cut. If you cut those ties, those people are not your family. If you make those ties, those people are your family. And if you hate those ties, those people will still be your family because whatever you hate will always be with you. It happens to everyone as they grow up. You find out who you are and what you want, and then you realize that people you've known forever don't see things the way you do. So you keep the wonderful memories, but find yourself moving on. I have learned that if you must leave a place that you have lived in and loved and where all your yesteryears are buried deep, leave it any way except a slow way. Leave it the fastest way you can. Never turn back and never believe that an hour you remember is a better hour because it is dead. Past years seem safe ones, vanquished ones, while the future lives in a cloud, formidable from a distance. If you spend your time hoping someone will suffer the consequences for what they did to your heart, then you're allowing them to hurt you a second time in your mind. We leave something of ourselves behind when we leave a place. We stay there, even though we go away. And there are things in us that we can find again only by going back there. I'm done with those. Regrets are an excuse for people who have failed. Every woman that finally figured out her worth has picked up her suitcases of pride and boarded a flight to freedom, which landed in the Valley of Change. It is important that we forgive ourselves for making mistakes. We need to learn from our errors and move on. You can't look back, you just have to put the past behind you and find something better in your future. When you loved someone and had to let them go, there will always be that small part of yourself that whispers, "What was it that you wanted and why didn't you fight for it?" And I told him, I said, "One day you're going to miss the subway because it's not going to come. One of these days, it's going to break down and it's not going to come around and everyone else will just wait for the next one or will take the bus, or walk, or run to the next station. They will go on with their lives. And you're not going to be able to go on with your life. You'll be standing there, in the subway station, staring at the tube. Why? Because you think that everything has to happen perfectly and on time, and when you think it's going to happen, well, guess what? That's not how things happen. And you'll be the only one who's not going to be able to go on with life, just because your subway broke down. So you know what? You've got to let go. You've got to know that things don't happen the way you think they're going to happen, but that's okay. Because there's always the bus, there's always the next station. You can always take a cab. Woman is the dominant sex. Men have to do all sorts of stuff to prove that they are worthy of woman's attention. And perhaps there is a limit to the grieving that the human heart can do. As when one adds salt to a tumbler of water, there comes a point where simply no more will be absorbed. Yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours to win or lose. To be bitter is to attribute intent and personality to the formless, infinite, unchanging and unchangeable void. We drift on a chartless, resistless sea. Let us sing when we can, and forget the rest. Make it a rule of life never to regret and never to look back. Regret is an appalling waste of energy. You can't build on it, it's only good for wallowing in. Love is forgiving, accepting, moving on, embracing, and all-encompassing. And if you're not doing that for yourself, you cannot do that with anyone else. You don't have to let that one thing be the thing that defines you. Life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. If you have one parent who loves you, even if they can't buy you clothes, they're so poor and they make all kinds of mistakes and maybe sometimes they even give you awful advice, but never for one moment do you doubt their love for you. If you have this, you have incredibly good fortune. If you have two parents who love you, you have won life's lotto. If you do not have parents, or if the parents you have are so broken and so, frankly, terrible that they are no improvement over nothing, this is fine. It's not ideal because it's harder without adults who love you more than they love themselves. But harder is just harder, that's all.